Good morning everybody, this is Victoria. Welcome back to another episode of Art Tutorials. So today what we're actually going to do is something a little bit different. Let me scooch over. Okay, so today what we're actually going to do here is something a little bit different, something a little bit new. So today what we're actually going to talk about is a very common questions that I get asked by students and also getting asked by parents and just majority whoever who wants to learn about art, drawing, painting. We all have those questions, and then the very common question is basically how many hours does it take, or how many hours of practice do we need in order to improve our drawing and painting skills? Now that has always been quite the myth for a lot of people, and it really depends on a lot of cases. So we're going to jump into this topic today and kind of see what I can help you guys out with and give you a little bit more detail and insight about how many hours of practice do you actually need in order to kind of see yourself improve and all that. So if you guys are ready, let's get started. So that comes to a lot of different things, and depending on what your goal is. So that's the first thing that I would actually mention to students, is that basically you want to make sure that you kind of set a goal for yourself to kind of reach, because if you have no goal, it's harder to kind of break it down and see the steps that you need to take in order to get to that goal, right? So you kind of have to break it down and see, okay, for example, if I have a student that mentions, oh, okay, my goal is to improve. Well, that's a little vague. So you want something that's a little bit more straightforward, where it's like, okay, I want to learn how to draw straight lines, for example. So that's a smaller goal. It's still a goal. It's still a very good goal. But what happens is that it's something that you can see, and then at least you have something to reach, right? So it really depends on the goal. And then a goal to be able to draw a straight line compared to a goal where it's just like, okay, I want to be able to draw realistic. Well, that goal is a more far out, more out of reach kind of goal. Well, not exactly out of reach though, but it's further. It's a bigger goal than to drawing just a straight line, or being able to draw a straight line freehand. So with those two examples over here, what happens is that you have to keep in mind that any larger goals will definitely take a lot more time for you to reach, right? Because before you reach that I'm able to draw hyper-realistic drawings, you have to be able to do all the other steps beforehand. So being able to draw straight lines freehand, be able to see shapes, be able to kind of see proportions, be able to have the correct proportions, and also being able to see value tones, having the correct shading, and also being able to kind of spot the difference in where the shading and what shape it is and where it's placed. So there's a lot of things to keep in mind. So it's not just, oh, I have this goal and I spent this much hours in order to get it. It's not that easy. So we want to make sure that we take time to actually understand that it's not something that happens overnight. You need to work towards it and then be consistent about it. So first you have your goals. Now the next step is basically asking yourself how much time you have, because in our day-to-day life we have work. If you're an adult student, you have work, you have other day-to-day mundane things to do, like washing clothes and organizing, getting kids ready for school and all that stuff, or any other activities, right? Because you also have work too. And then for kids, you have school, right? So you have school, you have other extracurricular activity. So basically, it really depends on how much time do you have, or how much time you can actually take out from your daily schedule in order to actually put it in and use it to practice your drawing. Right? So how much time do you have during the day? Now, the next thing is basically how much you can absorb and learn. So after each lesson, when you take whether if it's a workshop or private lessons or even just learning from YouTube, right? So you watch the video, you took the lesson, you had your lesson with your art teacher, or you had your lessons with your art professor at the university and all that stuff. And basically what happens is that you need to know how much you can absorb yourself. It doesn't really matter about anybody else, because we're talking about yourself right here and how you can improve your drawing skills, correct? So basically you want to kind of decide and kind of see, okay, how much did I actually learn out of what my teacher mentioned today, or what this YouTube video mentioned today? And that is different for different people. Some people can absorb and learn a lot quicker than others, so that really depends on the person. So that's why I like more self-learning, and also just having this private one-on-one art classes, is that you actually go at your own pace. So nobody's actually forcing you to take it quicker, or you don't have to go slower than you can, because if you actually can absorb and learn a lot quicker, then you will move at a faster pace. And then when it comes to that, now we have two other things that we kind of divide in between this. So basically there is a thing where there's a thing where basically how much you can absorb and how much you can learn, and then there's another thing where it's basically how much you understand mentally and theoretically. So it's like, okay, I know what my teacher's saying, and then once you understand what the teacher meant about, okay, you have to apply this, and then you draw it this way, and then you apply it and you do that. And then now the next thing is basically if you can apply it physically. So basically the actual training of actually telling your mind to tell your hand to be able to paint or draw and do the things that your teacher mentioned, or the things that you learned. So for example, I need to draw a line, or I need to fill in this area into this particular tone, right? So I understand that I have to do that, but now you have to kind of actually do it. So that's another step that you have to understand, and it would actually take time to actually practice that. So there's a lot of different steps that you have to kind of go through, and each step would take time. So that's one thing that you have to keep in mind. And then now we're going to kind of talk a little bit about the second part. So that was like the first part. So first part is mainly just understanding that it's not like a one-day thing where you kind of learn it and then boom, you can actually do it, right? It's not that easy. If it was that easy, everybody would be an exceptional artist and then they can draw like a photograph. But that's not the case. That's why we kind of learn and kind of explore a bit more, right? So basically the next part what we're going to actually talk about is the actual practice time. So once you kind of get an idea of like, okay, I need to reach this goal, these are the things I need to practice, okay, now we're gonna actually have to put in the hours. So when you're putting in the hours, there's different types of time that you put in. So basically it's the quality of your practice. So if I took an example, okay, I need to draw a straight line, right? But all you do is you go on your paper and then you try to draw your straight line though, but you go really quick, and then you just move on to the next one and you just kind of keep doing that. Well, that's actually okay practice. It does help, but it will probably take a lot longer because you're doing it so quick and you're not actually taking the time to actually observe, okay, the first line that I did was not straight, and before you actually even corrected that, you moved on to the next one and kind of taking or using luck just to see if you can actually make a straight line, because that with luck, it doesn't really help you improve your skill in a step-by-step way, because you're using luck is like out of 100 you would get one straight line. Well, that's great though, but the thing is that you want to be able to recreate it, right? You want to be able to do it every time, and then you want to be able to have full control that you're able to draw a straight line every time. And if you don't, or if you can't draw a perfect line every time, which is actually natural because we are human and all that stuff, so if you can't draw a straight line, at least you're able to kind of go back and correct it, right? Because the ability to draw a straight line and also the ability to draw a curvy line and also being able to correct it is also a good thing. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind. So the quality of practice is very important. And the other thing that we want to talk about is also just the time that you spent in, so how much you can actually focus, because we do get tired, because sometimes, or most times I would say, drawing does take a lot more energy than you thought it was. You could definitely draw a more relaxed thing though, but at the same time, if you're kind of having a mindset of wanting to improve and all that stuff, you have to actually work at it and use and apply the things that you learned and actually practice and kind of train yourself to get better, right? So that one you do need a lot more focus, a lot more mental energy and all that. So depending on how long a person can focus, that also makes a difference. So that's why I also do stretches and exercises, like physical exercises, and just kind of staying healthy, staying active and having endurance, because that actually helps me stay more focused for longer periods of time. And the next thing we're actually going to talk about here is that other than focus and quality of practice, we also have muscle memory. And muscle memory is basically being able to see. So your eye itself, when you're seeing things, it's also some type of muscle memory. So you have to be able to see what you're drawing and notice the mistakes, and also being able to fix the mistakes. So that's more or less the arm and the hand and all that stuff, and also communicating from the brain to the hand and to the arm, and being able to actually apply that onto your drawing, right? So and that also takes time, because after repetition and good repetition, so building good habits, it does take time for your body and your mind to actually remember that. Some people might pick it up a lot quicker, but some people might pick it up a little bit more gradually than others. But those are mostly the main things. So just kind of keep in mind that go at your own pace. I always mention to my students to go at their own pace and not to rush it, because you're better off to actually learn it, and then also being able to discover it on your own too, right? Because sometimes when I mention something verbally, or sometimes when I show it to students, sometimes it's not clear because certain people think and would understand it in a different way. And just explaining something visual with words is very difficult sometimes, because I might see something and it's this result, and then the person that would apply it would probably think of something else and have a different result. So this is something where you actually have to do some self-experimenting, and then also realizing, okay, this is what the teacher meant, or this is what the person meant in the video, to be able to soften the edges or kind of to darken it very gradually and adding light layers and so on. So, but yeah, so I would just say for you guys, and I know a lot of my students are watching this right now, this is going to be super helpful for you, because mindset is very important. I always say mindset, because a lot of people just always think of, okay, the end goal, and then you can reach it really easily, and then it's not too far away, but like they're not willing to put in the effort and time to actually practice and actually work at it and grind through the hard work in order to reach that end goal, to be able to draw hyper realistically, or being able to create your own characters, or being able to kind of design your own thing and create something new and all that. So it all takes time and all takes practice, but you have to put in the work. It's not like you don't put any work and things would come. That's not how things work over here. So yeah. But yeah, and that's pretty much it for today. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you guys. I hope this was a helpful insight, a helpful kind of tip and advice for you guys, just to say that sometimes having a number on how many hours you practice would actually get you this and this result is not true. You would actually have to see for yourself and also experiment for yourself, because everybody's different. Everybody learns at a different pace. People understand in a different pace, and also being able to absorb and understand mentally, and also being able to actually apply it and being able to draw and do it physically. It's all these different steps that kind of gets you going forward though. But I think the best tip that I can actually give to my students is that be consistent, because if you keep at it, eventually you'll kind of see and kind of notice patterns and all this stuff, and your mind would automatically figure it out and all that. So you want to make sure that you have a lot of patience, and also just remind yourself with the things that you learn, right? Don't just mindlessly practice, like, okay, today I have to do this construction for yourself, and then you do it really quickly. You do it in like 3 minutes, but all the lines are crooked, everything is placed at the wrong place. That's not very beneficial or helpful practice for you to help you improve, because if your goal is to improve, you have to put in the work, and you have to actually pay attention and actually observe and see where each line is placed, where each shape is placed, and how it connects with all the other lines. But if your goal is to, I want to get this homework or this drawing practice done as soon as possible, because I can actually spend that time to go and play games, or go play with other friends, or do other stuff, watch Netflix and all that, then that's a different goal. So you kind of see where goals is very important depending on what you're looking for. So peace of mind, stay consistent, make sure you have quality practice over quantity practice, because if you have good enough quality practice, it is slower though, but eventually it would add up, and then it would actually, on the long run, it would be a lot more quicker, instead of doing reps and then you're building bad habits and then you have to actually go back and fix them again. And those are the tips I would actually give to my students, is also to be consistent, have quality practice, and go at your own pace, because it's not a race. Everybody will reach the end of their goal as long as you stay consistent, because the moment you give up, that goal is no longer existent. So yeah. Okay, and that's it for today. This is going to be a super long video. It's going to be a super short video, but I hope this tip and advice was helpful for you guys. And if you have any questions, you can always comment below. And if you like this video, please remember to click the like button. It will really help out to build and grow my art channel. And then feel free to subscribe, because there will be more tips and advice and tutorials about art, about drawing, and then also future videos that could be fun and interesting, and just knowledge and tips I would like to share with you guys. Okay, and that's it. I shall see you guys again next week, but take care, have a wonderful week, have a beautiful day, and stay creative, have fun, and remember to practice quality practice, not just random practicing, quality practice. Okay, see you guys, bye!